We have video after video of this guy bragging about his grooming of adolescent girls.
Leftists expect you to think like a lawyer or a professor about life, whereas life is not like that. Life is a very messy situation.
They tried to steamroll Republicans, the American people, at every opportunity they had. But the moment that Trump was elected, suddenly Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are out there talking about how they really hope we can work together and that they hope that Republicans will not be vengeful. I mean, like the way Democrats were. If you are a Muslim, if you take the faith seriously, I recognize that most Muslims don't. If you take the Quran, the Hadith, and the life of Muhammad seriously, you are, by definition, an anti-Semite and a misogynist. Andrew Tate is both.
What is the best idea the Democrats have?
Oh, wow. I really am searching here to come up with something.
Welcome to another episode of WTF. With me, Laurence Fox, and Larry, who's in Mexico City. He doesn't want to talk about it. Doesn't want to talk about it. Doesn't want people to know why he's there, what he's doing. Starting to think he may be my CIA handler. But the chances are he's not. So, Larry, 5 days to go. Trump has just said that he's done a deal with the hostages. Is it a good deal? What's happening?
I'm pretty excited about Trump being inaugurated. I am excited about the change. I'm excited to bring this international nightmare to an end. And to just add to all the good news, I just saw on Twitter that Michelle Obama is going to skip the inauguration. Frankly, I'm wounded.
Why?
I so wanted him to be there.
I was about to say you were internalizing your own misogyny, but actually you're not. You're saying you wanted Big Mike to make the day, and Big Mike's not going to be there.
He is not going to be there, and frankly, I'm just thrilled to bits. I'd be happy if not a single Democrat was there, frankly. But I think this is,
Are they dead as a party? Are they dead?
Are they what?
They're dead.
I don't think that they're dead because they've got an awful lot of money behind them, and because they're made up largely of evil people, and evil people have to find somewhere to gather, right? Somewhere to direct their energies. And the Democrat Party is always there. It was there in 1860. It was there for the American.
But they were cool then, weren't they? In 1860, they were like, let's get rid of slavery and all. They were like MAGA.
No, not Democrat. No. Democrats were pro-slavery.
Sorry, no. Yeah, you get it right. What I'm saying is that the Democrats were evil slave wanton keepers, and 800,000 Americans died as a result of their desire to keep their slaves. But can they not more? But there was a period where the Democrats were quite nice, weren't they? With Kennedy,
well,
quite nice period.
Kennedy is overrated, but for sure, Kennedy today would seem like a Republican. He was a patriot. He was anti-communist. He certainly was pro civil rights movement. And so today he would seem like a Republican. So yeah, there was a period of time where the Democrat Party didn't seem like they were pro-slavery, communists, the way they seem today, dick choppers. But it's relative. But the fact of the matter is, the national nightmare, the international nightmare, is coming to an end, and I am very, very excited about it. It's just too darn bad that Mike can't be there for the inauguration. But
I can, though. I'm going to be there.
Are you?
I am.
Really?
I've been invited, and I'm going to be there.
Who invited you?
I got invited by someone in the team. So I'm going. I'll be on a plane to the States on Saturday. And hopefully I won't be sat just to the right and behind the Don. Otherwise, I'll be the one holding a riot shield in front of myself. Because, okay, I don't want to make light of this because you can't make light of it. But do we think that they're going to try anything?
Yeah, I mean, they will certainly make a strong effort, I think, to throw a wet blanket on the whole thing and to mischaracterize it in media. There's nobody there, and people are depressed, and this is the beginning of Hitler's reign of terror. I mean, that's the way it's going to be reported. But I think it's going to be pretty hard to dampen the spirits of the American people, and indeed of freedom-loving people like you around the world.
There's definitely a sense of the fact that it's not going to work as well this time, which is why I sort of asked the question, are they finished? Because I'm trying to think about a single policy the Democrats have that any normal person would get on board with, that would go, yeah, no, I'm ready with that. So I was watching Pete it's really hard to say the word, Hegseth? Is that right? Hegseth. Pete Hegseth?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, people who are watching us don't know that we're having some kind of technical issue. Your team says it's my fault. I say it's entirely your fault. You personally. It's you personally, but I have a hard time hearing what you were saying there.
So Pete Hegseth is going through the process, which I think is amazing that America do this, by the way. I'm so impressed with America. That what they do is they go, right, this is my nominee for defense. Go question him. And, and everyone gets a chance to question him. Good, the people that like him, the people that don't like him. And it's a wonderful thing. We don't get that in England. We're just like, here's your new culture secretary. I'm like, that's a trans person in a wheelchair. Why would they be our culture secretary? So I think the American accountability thing is just fantastic. But what was interesting was I'm trying to go, is there a single idea the Democrats have? A single idea? And if there is, I want you to dig into your brain. I don't want you to be cynical about this. It's not enough of cynical Larry. I want you to be really upbeat about this. What is the best idea the Democrats have? Larry, wake up.
I can't be cynical.
No, I want you to good faith. Steelman it. Come on.
Oh, wow. I really am searching here to come up with something.
Come on.
Well, it's certainly...
Think of Fetterman. Think of your best Democrat. Think of like someone who is a Democrat still, but who is got some good things. Okay, well, in the absence of you being able to pick one, I'll pick one.
You think of one.
Bipartisanship, I would say, is a very democratic. It was something I very much associated with the Democratic Party, bipartisanship, to work in a bipartisan way to get good things to happen. That's what I would say. The Democrats in a sort of, if the Democrats were a Greek mythology story, that's what you would say that their superpower was. What?
It would be a tragedy. It would be a perverse tragedy, like Oedipus sleeping with his mother. That's what it would be if it were a Greek tragedy. But where do you see Democrats being so bipartisan? Right?
Well, Fetterman is. Fetterman has basically said he's going to vote with Trump Fetterman's going to be a very important senator from that, because the margins, and I love this about America, the margins are so little that if Trump phones up Fetterman and goes, come on, mate, this makes sense, John, and he's going to go look at his speech computer and go, yes, I wandered backwards 3 times, 5 times, Chinese restaurant, chicken tikka masala, but he will get there in the end. Do you not think?
Well, I have to be cynical here, Laza. I have to be.
You speak loud and stuff on me.
Let me say something about our politics that you may or may not be aware of. But Democrats for the last 4 years, they were not interested in any kind of bipartisan initiative at all.
Yeah.
In fact, they tried to steamroll Republicans, the American people, at every opportunity they had. But the moment that Trump was elected, suddenly Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are out there talking about how they really hope we can work together and there could be some bipartisan efforts and that they hope that Republicans will not be vengeful. I mean, like the way Democrats were, the way that they've tried to politically destroy their opponents, the way they jailed the January 6th people illegally, like just tossing out the writ of habeas corpus, all those kinds of things. I mean, if I'm really, really, really trying to give them an attaboy, but even here, I'm stretching it because they've gone about it the wrong way. I think student loan debt is a real thing that needs to be addressed by government, but I don't think that the answer is to take that debt and to put it on the American people. That's not the answer. I do think that they need to address predatory lenders, students who are, trying to pay their way. And I'm talking about in a legitimate way, I was one of them, trying to get their way, through university. I had loads of scholarships, but still I had to have student loans. And, I think that's something that's worth addressing. But Democrats didn't really want to address it. What they wanted was to garner the vote of Gen Zers, of millennials, by telling them, America's a piñata. We're just going to give free money. We're just going to cancel the debt. And of course, there's no such thing as canceled debt. It just means we're going to take your debt and put it on the American people, like Ukraine.
Yeah. I do, I was just trying to push you to find something positive to say about them. I'm going, so you've got the squad. They've been appealing to their base as in a different way, as MAGA is essentially, to me, a very Democrat. What I would have thought was a Democrat thing. I would have thought, pro free speech, the government will look after you when it needs to look after you, but it will intervene when it needs to, but it's not a big interfering government. It's aspirational, all that sort of stuff. I associate that because I grew up and I went through history class with JFK. And I listened to RFK, and I was reading RFK's latest book today, in the last couple of days, actually. And his hatred of the state is absolutely bottomless. How much he hates the Democratic Party, he hates RFK Jr. Yeah,
understandably, given his family background.
Yeah, but so I'm trying to find myself. Alison Pearson in the UK wrote an article about the far right centrists. Sorry, the far centrist extremists, he called them today, which is where people are being extremist about centrist issues now. And I'm trying to go, okay, so when Trump comes in, we want, he's ready and he's gonna roll this thing in. But you also always need an opposing force to everything, don't you? You can't just go, the savior has arrived until the savior has arrived. In the same way as we're always 80-20 on Trump, on Musk. We're always like, it's amazing that he's, put it all on the line for free speech. But at the same time, you don't want one person deciding all this stuff. I had an interesting conversation with my son, who said to me, X is really bad because you can say anything, you can threaten people. And I said, no, you can't. But the Democrat angle, the angle from people on the other side of that will say, these people are allowing you to incite violence, which they're not. And I'm sort of trying to go, what does the revivified Democratic Party look like? What's it? What are their? It's not a pinata, but what are the cornerstones of what the Democrats are going to come out after now? Because Obama is dead; he's gone. Big Mike can't even bother to turn up because no one can find a codpiece that will fit him. But what what are the Democrats going to come out to bat with? Because everyone's got to come out to bat with. You've got one side, you've got another side. What are they going to come out to bat with?
Well, what they should come out with and what they do come out with are probably two very different things. If I'm their strategist, and hence I have no moral foundation whatsoever, it's just about the acquisition of power. I would be saying, guys, the American people see us as extremely radical. And while that is our agenda deep down, we need to take that underground. We need to be less public about our penis chopping. We need to appeal to the American voter as not anti-American, but patriotic. We need to appeal to the American voter not as Marxist, but capitalist. We need to do what Trump has done better than Trump has done it. But of course, it's all a facade. It's just a means of acquiring power. So I listen. The Democrats have gone so far to the left that the American people were really left with very little option but to say enough is enough. If they had been able to field a candidate that could just walk and talk properly and could come off as someone who actually cared about the American people and who didn't hate his own country. But that's not Democrats. Democrats these days, they've been taken over by, for instance, like the squad that you just mentioned, the radical element from within. And they have become, they're so insulated from real America, from red state America, that they just don't have any real idea of what's going on. I mean, I've seen a lot of your tweets. I can't see them all because you're way more active on Twitter than I am. But you've been going after, Starmer's government, in the sense that I get in just reading what you're saying, as it regards that, is that Starmer, like almost all these people who just so happens are all members of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, they've all been told to ignore their constituencies, that we don't care what polls say. We don't care what the newspapers say. We don't care what the British people, what the American people, the French people, the Dutch people, you name it. We don't care. We're going to keep moving forward with our agenda. And if a bunch of British girls get raped, so what? We don't care. In the United States, if millions of people are crossing the border and Americans don't like it, so what?
And also, I've noticed, so just, one of the important things that we do in our conversations is we're talking cross continents, aren't we? We're trying to see patterns and see how they evolve in different cultures and societies. And one of the things I've noticed hugely, so let me just fill in our audience a bit. On, I don't know, a few weeks ago, a woman called Rachel Halliwell wrote to me, and she said that the inquest into my daughter's death is taking place in Liverpool in January. And I really, really, really want you to come and chat. And I want you to cover it, because I think that they're going to try and destroy that. It's not going to be a fair and level playing field. So would you do that? And it's a huge story in the UK, and she has no faith at all in the media to report it fairly. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll report it. I'm going to come. So I drove up there to see it, and I was genuinely blown away by how adversarial the inquest into someone's death was, a 12-year-old girl's death. I was absolutely astonished to think that a parent who's lost a child, who is then dragged into an inquest into her death, was essentially being smeared by so it's a coroner, but in any other situation it would be a judge. And straight away I could see, so I've seen this stuff a million times, the way the establishment try and deal with stuff, and I can spot systems, I know how they work. And I sat in this this inquest, and I really could have punched someone, genuinely could have punched someone about how badly they were treating her mother, just in the way that she was being asked questions. It was all inference, no fact, no truth, just inference. Whenever a fact was raised and put on the table, it was someone would try and belittle it. But it's like, it's a fact. It's recorded on film. She's being beaten up. It's like, yeah, but how big was the bruise? And I got so annoyed by these people, and the British police arrived at the house where I was staying, and they knocked. And bear in mind, this woman is giving evidence against the British police. The following day, they turn up at 11:30 at night at her house, or 10:30, and they go, "Is everyone all right in the house? Is everything okay?" And you're like, "Why are you here? Why are you people here?"
Did you record this?
What?
Did you record it?
No, yeah. I've recorded everything.
Okay,
Yeah. Everything is
Did
recorded.
you put it on Twitter?
No, we're making a full film about her death. Because that's the only way you can do it. You have to tell the whole story. You can't just. The thing about Twitter is, it's fine to be angry on Twitter. I get it. I understand. I'm angry on Twitter all the time, but sometimes.
Common of attacks on people.
Oh, I saw you last night. Give me examples. Yeah, we need to get to that actually, because that's quite interesting. That I'll the fact that ad hominem. Anyway, I thought it was the cruelest thing anyone could ever do, actually. And I thought my libel trial was very unfair. Like, I'm a big racist, and I thought it was very unfair because I'm not a big racist. So, obviously I'm going to think it's not unfair. I'm not fair. But to take a grieving mother, whose 12-year-old daughter, and I kept saying to everybody when they were getting upset, I said, none of this matters. She was 12. The only thing that matters about this case is she was 12. And it's the problem with leftists, and I realized this very, very, in a very, very stark relief with me, is leftists expect you to think like a lawyer or a professor about life. Whereas life is not like that. Life is a very messy situation. So for example, I'll give you an example. They were trying to use the fact that her daughter sent her a WhatsApp message from downstairs in the house to upstairs in the house as an example of the mother being lazy and not a very good mother. And I was like, I get a WhatsApp message from my son going, "Hey, Dad, can I get some V-Bucks?" or whatever, all the time. But the lawyers are trying to go, well, do you not care enough to speak to your own daughter? And, it was so adversarial and it was so horrible. And we're going to tell this story, and it's going to make people's jaws drop, because I thought my libel trial was unfair. I thought it was unfair. I didn't think it was dealt with in an impartial way. And I heavily disagree with the outcome, which is now under appeal, which is fine. But this is the inquest into the death of a 12-year-old girl. And that, to me, is the driver of all of the things I do, because I just think you're a satanic fucking cult. That's what you are. And you don't care if like you were saying, if a few girls get raped, then, you can't make an omelette without breaking any eggs. And it was the same. It was like a woman who has had to drag herself up to try and stay level and try and deliver some evidence about her daughter. And I just thought, we'll break the internet with this, because it will finally be an example and an opportunity to people to go, do I listen to the BBC version of the inquest, or do I listen to the version of the person that was there, the woman who spoke? And I will be fair. I will do it fairly. I will ask a question, and I have asked her questions which are difficult, which she doesn't want to answer, but I'm asking her those questions. So we'll be fair. But I think that gives us a great hope towards the future. And I was minded to your point on ad hominem, because I thought this coroner is lazy. She's a lazy bitch. That's what she is. And she's taken a job in public service because she doesn't get paid enough money, but she wants her pension. And what she wants to do is come up with the easiest solution there is possible, where no feathers are overly ruffled, and no justice is done or seen to be done. And I really, every time she walked past, I just looked at her and said, "You're a disgrace to your office. You people are a disgrace to your office, and I pay for you. My tax dollars will, in my case, sterling, pay for you." Let's go on to Andrew Tate.
Well, on ad hominem, I was just teasing you because you had brought up that issue, I don't know, a couple of episodes ago, and the morality, as it were, that's involved with ad hominem attacks. Again, for people who may not be aware of it, ad hominem, Latin phrase that simply means against the man. You attack the man versus, attacking the arguments. And Laurence and I were talking about this, off of the show, texting back and forth a little bit on this. And, having done both chaired and been, an actual participant in a number of high-level academic debates, the question you're always asking is, do I attack the man or attack the argument? And I've never had reason in a formal debate, nor have I seen someone do it in a debate that I was chairing, to attack the man. You want to attack the argument. But I was saying to Laza that there are occasions where attacking the man or the woman, as the case may be, such as in this particular instance, is actually appropriate. I mean, where you're dealing with somebody who is so evil, so wicked, that their behavior is actually, part of the argument. It's part of the problem that you're seeking to address. So I was just simply teasing you about that, because we had been discussing that a little bit, and then I saw one of your tweets where you'd really gone after someone, and so I just slipped down there to comment. This is a hack, Laurence.
What do you make of the very concerted criticism of Andrew Tate?
Well, I'm in favor of it. I do not like Andrew Tate, and I think that Andrew Tate. Listen, there's a little history here. I did a podcast episode, an episode of Ideas Have Consequences, on Andrew Tate about a year ago. And I did because my youngest son, Zachary, your nephew, as it were, who will be, in Cairo, Zachary had told me that he was listening to Andrew Tate. In his generation, Gen Z, a lot of males in that generation who have rejected the milquetoast West, whether it's milquetoast Christianity or wokedom, they've just rejected it in a big way. They find themselves attracted to the anti-woke types, and sometimes those types are good, sometimes not. And Andrew Tate, if we were to play him on this show, I would say that listeners would agree with 80% of what he says. There are occasions, take for instance his interview with BBC, where he dismantles this interviewer. I'm rooting him on. I'm thinking, yes, I agree with everything that you are saying here. And that's part of the problem, is that Andrew Tate and a lot of the anti-woke types who are now sort of on the fringes of MAGA, and in some cases at the center of it, because they're being pulled in to the MAGA movement, and because they are extremely alarmed by the things that they're seeing happening in the Western world. They find themselves thinking that a guy like Andrew Tate is on their side. And I'm saying, hold on, the devil is in the details, because it's in that other 10%, other 20% of what he says that you don't want to sign up with this guy. He says he's a convert to Islam, which by definition, if you are a Muslim, if you take the faith seriously, I recognize that most Muslims don't. But if you take the Quran, the Hadith, and the life of Muhammad seriously, you are, by definition, an anti-Semite and a misogynist. And Andrew Tate is both. He has been accused of, and I think with substantial evidence, of trafficking girls. He likes to brag about these kinds of things, of seducing girls, of grooming them for his own purposes and use. And now he's announced that he's running for mayor. And I think, great, exactly what London needs, a city that is beset with rape gangs that just so happen are all Muslim. And now you have a misogynist pig, a Muslim misogynist pig who is running for mayor of that city. And I think that's exactly the last thing that they need. But I see so many young men in my country, probably in yours as well, who see this and see Andrew Tate, and because they don't know some of these other details, they look at Tate and they go, yeah, fantastic. I mean, we're all in favor of this guy. And I'm trying to warn people that, listen, to be a conservative, an authentic conservative, you have to be anti-woke. But not all woke people are conservatives. And some of them are alt-righters. And that's Andrew Tate, which I'd actually say is alt-left, but that's another conversation. I don't think there is such a thing as alt-right. They're on the left. But anyway, all of that said, Andrew Tate falls into that very dangerous category, and he's dangerous all the more so because he has a huge following among young men who are often fatherless, who often feel that they are shamed for being male, that they are, called toxic, all these kinds of things. Unfortunately, it has driven them towards a truly toxic male. And that's Andrew Tate. So I don't like the guy.
Do you think he's trolling the system, the what he calls the Matrix? Do you think he genuinely is a Muslim, for example?
Well, I think he thinks he's genuinely a Muslim. Friends of mine who are really in the know regarding those kinds of things and who are themselves, scholars as it relates to Islam and who are engaging Islamic scholars discussing those kinds of things. Muslims themselves, the real serious ones, don't see Andrew Tate as somebody who actually understands Islam. He doesn't get it. But I think he thinks he's a Muslim. But his defenders like to say this. He doesn't really believe those things. He just likes to say them. Well, then he's a hypocrite. It just makes him all the more dangerous because it means he's saying a lot of things he doesn't actually truly believe. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, even if he is trolling the system in some respects, and undoubtedly he is, the fact of the matter remains, we have video after video after video of this guy bragging about his grooming of adolescent girls and of, seeing himself as, he takes these pictures where he's sitting on a yacht and he's shirtless and all padded up, and you have half-naked women, on either side of him, and he's sitting there with his big cigar. I just think you're a joke.
I were doing that on your pontoon boat before we broke the winch.
Well, just to be clear, that's a redneck yacht right there. That's not a real.
Broke the winch. I was doing this. I was giving my guns. You can't.
I just think the guy is. He strikes me as someone who's profoundly insecure about his masculinity and has this need to, constantly be posturing and
is that the insecurity, or is that just is he just trolling the system? I genuinely am just interested. I'm not. I don't have a view one way or the other. Part of me thinks I noticed that he obviously got a lot of money, right?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know where he got his money from. I think he got his money from the early days of sex cameras, what they call cameras, where the girl had top off, which inherently is going to involve exploiting people and all of that sort of stuff, and is inherently wrong. So I get all of that, but his defense to that position, which I think is probably worth considering, is that he says it was literally page 3 or Playboy. It was a girl with her top off. It wasn't OnlyFans. It wasn't this woman in England who is making £600,000 a month for having sex with over 1,000 guys in a day. He says there's a moral relativism involved in it. So I'm not defending him, and I'm not. I'm just saying that whenever he comes back with a point, I kind of go, yeah, well, I'll take that. That works for me. I know that the system attacks people anyway, and I get all of that too. But he's, as far as I can tell, yeah, all of the sort of, yeah, there's my muscles and pictures of him taking cigars and walking around and all that, the branding stuff is a bit like it's nothing I'd ever do or anyone would ever do. But I'm trying to work out what you can really criticize him for, other than for being like an absolute doggone old school kind of pimp, you know?
I think it's
And
pretty substantial given what's going on with Muslim men and adolescent girls throughout the Western world.
But then it's weird that he then will say these people are disgusting, and then if you look at the record, and and I hear this over and over and over again, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I hear it all the time, which is that in Muslim countries which are kind of sorted, they have a vague level of civilization to them, and the moral relativism is being practiced all the time, is that they have a handle on their terrorists. They lock them up or they cut their heads off, And it's actually England and places like England where we don't have a solid traditional cultural framework to work from, where we don't really know what we do with. So we basically, in this sort of, it's not racist, it's what it is. It's, sort of disparaging the ethnicist or whatever it is. We put all Muslims in the same bracket. And I think what Andrew Tate's trying to turn around and say is like, I am, and I think why he appeals to young men, he doesn't appeal to me because I'm older and I have a sense of security about who I am, so it's not going to work on me. But to young guys, I think they find it funny, first and foremost. I don't think they're going like, I want to be Andrew Tate. I think they're going, oh, but it's great. There's someone saying it, though. Someone's actually saying all the stuff that upsets us and annoys us. Like, you're not going to be toxic masculinity, the way he kind of does it. And I'm not sure he's doing it for money, because I don't think you get paid for being that way. I think you get paid for running, like, what you would call trafficking girls, what I would call exploiting girls. And, however dark it got or is, his view is like, it's not that dark. It's not OnlyFans. It's not Pornhub. It's grainy pictures of girls with their tits out. I mean, at what point does one say that is worse than an organized gang of Muslim men raping, branding women on their near their private parts with their name, with M for Muhammad? This has happened. Inserting punks inside of it, like he's saying, this is nothing compared to that. And I'll save you from it. I will be the demagogue, the Muslim demagogue who will turn around and stop this happening in your country. And he's not going to get anywhere. It's not going to work. No one's going to take him seriously in that. I don't think he wants to run for mayor. I think he wants to run for prime minister. And I don't think he understands how that works either, because, good luck with the electoral commission. But I do think that we on our side of the argument have a problem with the baby in the bathwater, which is that someone like Andrew Tate's actually not really a big threat to anybody. He's just a character in a film of what's going on today. He's not influential in the way I don't think he's hugely influential. My sons have watched it and said, oh, I think he's quite cool. But I think they both get the fact that he's not a real, it's a performance.
Well, what he's done with girls is more than a performance; it's a reality. And
what's done with girls?
For me, that cancels out any good he might be saying or anything that I might agree with him on. Frankly, I think there's a lot to suggest that Andrew Tate, in this phrase, is overused, in my opinion, but in this case, it might be legit. And I stress might be. I don't have any evidence of this, but that he might be controlled opposition, and that there are those who think that he's getting his money perhaps from Muslims with an agenda that are using him to promote Islam to promote, to try to give I mean, Muslims want, they want influencers too. And they're not stupid. They recognize an opportunity in Andrew Tate when they see it. And they recognize that he has a huge fan base with young men. I think he's a huge threat. Not so much to you or to me, as you say, I don't watch him. You don't watch him. I'm not seduced by his shtick, and you aren't either. But I think there are a lot of young men who maybe don't have the wisdom of Winston and Eugene, who look at him and go, oh, he's funny, but I don't buy into the other stuff. There are loads of British young men, of American young men, of French young men who are watching him and who do want to be Andrew Tate, and who want to model themselves after his lifestyle, want to treat women the way he does, who want to see themselves as objects of feminine desire and, adopt his attitudes towards women. I think he's hugely dangerous in that regard, and I'm inclined to think that there might be fire where there's smoke regarding the controlled opposition claim. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm always really nervous about the smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire thing, because I've obviously been dealt a death by 1,000 cuts myself. So it's strange to be. Lizzie says to me a lot. She's like, you're not the person that they present you as in the media. So I always will lean skeptic when it comes to the way the media present anyone. But I don't think he's such a big deal. I think he's a guy that is sort of playing if it was a film, he would be the court jester. But then Shakespeare was so good on this, that the court jester ran the court in the end. And I suppose your reticence and your caution, your note of caution, comes from the fact that these people can have enormous power without us.
He has 10.5 million followers.
Also, can I just tell our followers that the reason why Larry's hand is shaking is not because he's really waiting for his first drink of the day. It's because he literally had his head separated from his neck in a push bike accident. Well, we call it push bike accident, but he was in a accident, and his hands shake as a result of it.
I have a spinal cord injury, so sometimes my legs and my hands shake badly. But so unfortunately, you probably couldn't read that.
Right. So no,
it looked like a scene from Saving Private Ryan, the opening scene. But 10.5 million followers. I mean, and I would bet that those are mostly young men.
Oh, yeah. I think they will be. You don't want to tell us why you're in Mexico City?
Oh, I don't want to tell you. It's just not that interesting. I'm here for a couple of meetings. I have been fairly regularly following the immigration crisis on our own border, and almost all of the migrants coming from South America, they go through the choke points of the Darien Gap, that dangerous jungle, and they end up here in Mexico City, where they board La Bestia, the train, the freight train, where they get on the top of it and they ride it 600 miles to the north to the U.S. border. And so I thought I would take a gander at it one last time just before the inauguration to see what the effect is of Trump being elected and about to take office. And so I'm here just for a few days. Tomorrow night, I board a flight to Switzerland, where I will attend next week the World Economic Forum at Davos. And then from there, I head to Rome. And then from Rome, I go back to Switzerland again. And then I go to Cairo. And should be very, very interesting. I think at the World Economic Forum, I'm going to encounter a lot of panic. I think the globalists, last year, they were just, the last 2 years I've been, they were just so arrogant. They're just so pompous. But I think this time that they sense that their agenda is truly in peril.
It's finished.
Because it isn't just simply that a non-globalist government was elected. but an anti-globalist government was elected.
Well, also there was this, and I think people underestimate it. And I know that and I spoke to someone today who's like, oh no, loads of people don't pay any attention to social media and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you cannot deny. And I was speaking to the oldest member of my team, who must be nearly 70. And I said, but you can't deny the American election was totally influenced, hugely influenced by social media. The last one was, and this one was. So social media is where especially, the serious parts of social media like Facebook and Twitter, or X are, they really are places where one can influence. But it's actually the fact that you can, this is the thing that and I need to articulate it in a better way, but it's the peer-to-peer information passing. So someone who trusts you, Larry, to make a point about the Darien Gap, which you know about, they can then pass that directly to somebody else who can receive that. And that becomes the truth that would be ultimately the mainstream media narrative would try and dominate. It's impossible to dominate a narrative anymore. The narrative is the most amount of believable truth that comes from wherever we are. So I think they're finished. I mean, I don't think we shouldn't stop kicking them to death, but I think they're finished. I think the race hoaxes are done. I think the trans thing is done. I think woke is done. We just have to make sure we kick it as hard as we can to death. And I'm excited about that, because I think that's going to make a big change. But then there's going to be the law of unintended consequences, which are going to be really unpleasant as well, which is you're going to get what you're seeing in Andrew Tate. I don't see it so much, which is that you're going to get people with huge followings and influence being able to dictate a new narrative, which naive people and young people who are looking for ideas will follow. But actually, I think that Musk, in an imperfect world, Musk's thing of saying you cannot touch this platform. And my son, they tried to tell my son, they're like, it's evil, Twitter's X is evil, you can threaten to kill people, you can do that. And I took I said, well, let's look on the terms of service. Let's read the actual what they say, but and they don't allow you to do this, and they don't allow you to do that. And actually, they're quite good. So it's going to be a sort of it's a propaganda and counter propaganda move that we will be watching. But when are you back? And we need to work out Cairo, because it's Lizzie's birthday. So I need to work.
Well, all the more reason for her to come to Cairo. It would be fabulous. I'll take you to the pyramids, the Grand Bazaar, the Egyptian Museum. We'll take a felucca down the Nile. It'd be a lot of fun. Love to have you there. Love to Lizzie. And what is that in the background? The Union Jack. Is that a suitcase or?
It's a fridge.
Ah.
What's in it? Oh, it's got beer in it. Amazing. Got a beer in it.
You're sitting in a hotel room. I'm sitting in a hotel room. I'm looking to see over here. I don't know if I have a fridge in here. Hang on one sec. You just amuse everybody. You can juggle or something for 1 second.
Yeah.
It turns out I do have a mini fridge, and I won't open this because I don't actually drink beer. But we can conclude the show with a cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers. Clink.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go. Why don't you take us out?
Well, I think we're stood at a precipice. Do you remember? Have you ever seen Indiana Jones? And I think it's the Temple of Doom, but it might be Rose Lost Ark. And in order to get to where he's got to go to, he has to walk across. It's a challenge, and he has to walk across a bridge.
That's the Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, and it looks invisible. And he leans behind himself, and he picks up some sand, and he throws it, and it shows him the path. I think that's where we're heading. I think that's what's about to happen. And I think that this I was interested to talk to you earlier in the show about, what are the good things about the left that are going to come at us? Because we should watch out for them, because they must have something good. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been powerful for all these years. So I'm looking forward to the collective sigh of relief. I'm very concerned that someone will try something on the day of the inauguration.
Yeah.
Mass casualty, then I think I'm worried about that. But I will, I think that in Trump, that you have an immovable force. That I think the guy, we've seen in everything about him, that he will die for what he believes in. And I think the world needs to be full of
Amen.
I think that in a world where people will blow themselves up for what they believe in, I think we'd have to live in a world. And I have this conversation with my dad a lot on a Christian level. It's like, well, what do Christians do? And my conclusion has come to the fact that a Christian will die for what they believe in. And that's not, they won't kill for what they believe in necessarily. I don't know the teachings, but I think they will die. And I think that's ultimately much more powerful. So, our conversation this evening's been a bit in trepidation, I suppose. I'm going, but it's coming. 5 days from now, the world is going to change, and it will change overnight, because you listen to Hegseth, you listen to his nominees. These people are not coming in. They're not coming in polite. I mean, they're coming in polite and courteous, but they're not coming in sort of, one foot on either side of the fence. They're coming in and they're saying, we're going to kill DEI, we're going to kill CRT, we're going to get rid of all the shit, we're going to get rid of everything.
What I mean is they're anti-globalist, anti-woke.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what's great, and I'm very excited about that. I feel very excited about that.
And you're going to be on the stage at the inauguration.
I'm going to be right up there. Yeah.
Are you going to be the one holding the Bible?
Yeah. No, I am the Bible. Someone's going to be holding me.
Hand on your forehead.
Someone's going to be holding me, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, nice, good Bible," and then he's going to go, "I swear on Laurence Fox to uphold the Constitution of the United States." That's what he's going to say. I mean, I didn't ask for this, Larry. It just happened.
Well, that's fun. I'm excited for you. And by the way, are you able to tell us now? Last week you teased it, and you were going to call me later and tell me who it was, but you never did.
Bear Grylls.
Okay, Bear Grylls. He apologized to you, and why did he apologize to you? What did he do to you?
He just beasted me around a bit when we were in the jungle. Yeah. And then, but I'm not going to lie, I was a bit disappointed I responded to him wisely, because, there's a little movement on the evangelical Christian side, which I don't like, which is, and Russell Brand has started saying it a little bit, which is, we've got to kind of look at the scriptures and present them in a way to people that they can understand. And I know, don't do that. Many people traveled across many fucking parts of Europe and died for the word. So we stick to the word. Even on an autistic level, I just have to stick to the word. I can deal with the word. I can't deal with reinterpretations of the word. I don't want the word softened. I don't want it hardened. I just want the word. And he, he's played a big part in, I think the reason he reached out to me was because I mocked him because he said that Jesus was a Palestinian in his Christmas message. And then
Which is ridiculous.
I put a meme out saying, "Are you a Palestinian?" So it's some guys sitting on a rock, together in Jesus costumes. And one of them goes, "Are you a Palestinian?" It's Jesus. And Jesus turned around and goes, "A what?" So I think he reached out because I attacked him. And then, so he then wrote to me to ask for forgiveness. And then I forgave him because, of course, I didn't need to forgive him. I'd forgotten about it, really. And then he asked a series of questions, and I answered all of them. And mainly, the main thing I was trying to say to him was, I wonder why you're wanting to speak to me. I'm really grateful you are, but I wonder why you are. And then his response was not what I was expecting, his response was, you should go back to acting. And I'm like, my response to him was, sort me out then. Call some of your friends, tell them I'm a good guy, whatever it takes. If you want me to go back to acting, if that's where I'm best suited, you know a lot of people. Why don't you call them? That was maybe not the best response, but I didn't do it in that way. I was just trying to be gracious, and the thing is, I'm very gracious in letter form to someone I respect. I will think about what I say and I will write it down carefully. In Twitter form, I don't want it. I want people to. I want it to hurt. I want it to get right to the
No, ad hominem.
part of the problem, and I don't know. We'll see. I think he needed to let go of something. And then I saw Russell Brand today going, "We got to reinterpret the scriptures." And I went, "No, you fucking
That
don't."
was just ridiculous.
Oh no, no, you fucking
What
don't.
happens with these guys, these new converts? It's exactly what's happened with Jordan Peterson. So now he writes a book about, of course,
Jordan on that. I think Jordan is withdrawn on that position almost entirely.
Say that again.
I think Jordan has pulled back from that almost entirely. I really do. I really have noticed the fact that he's not pushing his book. He's not pushing this. He's really not. There's not, like, I follow Jordan. He follows me, and
I exchange with him on that.
But I don't think, and he's been in touch about the stuff that I'm working with, in terms of what's going on, and he wants to help. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm probably not, I think he's turned around and gone, you know what? We're all called to do something different. And maybe my calling wasn't to become a theologian, to break down the Bible. Maybe my calling was to talk about the cancellation of people's lives and the destruction that causes and order and chaos.
The anti-woke critic, he's good. As an anti-woke critic, as a theologian, he's a joke. And I've said that to him in no uncertain terms. And I said to him,
well, you wrote the article. You wrote a very powerful article, but I think he's he's certainly a mind that one wants on side. He's not someone you want to alienate, but he's got a great mind.
Yeah, well,
but your objection is valid, which is like, it's not staying your lane. It's like, understand what God, if you want to talk about God gave you some gifts. Work your gifts. Like, work the blessings. You don't work the things. Like, it's me turning around and going, let me lecture you on, Revelation. It's like, no one would listen to me on that. And neither should they. Or no, I can talk on the issues I can talk on are all very personal to me, because that's where passion comes from. And I think he's very passionate about the Bible. I listened to all of his lectures on maps of meaning, and I think that, in amongst all of it, you get lost in the idea that it's not really about whether you can intellectualize the resurrection. It's about whether you believe in it or not.
Well, I think that as it relates to a couple of things that you said. First of all, I think that in our line of work, it's awfully easy to be drawn into pontificating on things you know nothing about.
Yeah.
And I try very hard to stay in my lane. So, for example, Tim Pool, Timcast, they reach out to me and said, we'd love to fly you to our studio. And Tim wants to do an interview with you on the question of, are we living in an alternate universe? And
that's not what I'll ask you.
My answer would be no. Next question. And I politely declined. I had friends who said, you need to do that. Millions of young men you'll reach. And I said, yes, but it'll become very clear that this is not a subject that I know anything about. And it relates to gaming, that a lot of young men, they live in an alternate universe and maybe begin speculating that we're all in some kind of matrix. I thought, I will be exposed as a charlatan talking about that subject. So I said, I try to stay in my lane. That's not my lane. But then yesterday on Twitter, Dr. Drew's producer reached out and said, we really want to do a lengthy interview with you about the World Economic Forum. I go, I'm your guy. I'm your guy for that. And I think I appreciate the fact that you try, as I do. And this is hard. People watching us, listening to us, maybe don't know this, but brand building, in the age of social media, it's all about brand building, is about being on social media all the time. And immediately the wildfires in California, you got to get your opinion out there. The inauguration, got to get your opinion out there. Whatever's happening, a nominee, got to get your opinion out there. And I try to go, in fact, yesterday I was asking
it's true.
Pardon me?
I don't think that's true. I think I genuinely think that's the opposite of the truth. I think that the minute they invented the 24-hour news cycle, they destroyed the news, right? So we used to turn on the news and it was once a day. And it was like, this is happening. But I think with social media, I think social media exists to attack the cultural norm. So what you should do is, if someone says something that's a lie, then go after the lie. But don't go, this is my opinion on the grooming gangs, this is my opinion on this is my opinion on that. It's like, find where the bullshit is and attack it. But I had no view. They call the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK Rachel from accounts. They do it to say, because she's unqualified, and and I just go, no, that's not the way to deal with it. The way to deal with it is to attack the lie with everything you've got, but don't attack the issue, because the issue is unimportant. It will change and modify by the day. So that's why I don't believe there's a political solution to this problem. I don't think, other than Trump, other than someone being brave and standing up and going, I will deal with this, I can't engage politically. I'm just bored by these fucking people.
Well, let's end on a very hopeful note. And you got a meeting to get to. I've got a meeting to get to.
I've got a dinner to get to with my favorite person in the world.
No, I want to go back to Bear Grylls and him saying, you should, go back to acting. I don't think you should abandon what you're doing, but I do know that you love acting and that was taken from you.
I don't love it. I'm good at it. It's different.
Yeah, well, you are good at it. You are good, and privately you're good and highly entertaining, as well as it relates to those kinds of things. But Bear Grylls saying that, a topic I've wanted to bring up, and maybe this is for the next episode. The last few times, I just haven't been successful in really getting it in because we find so much to talk about. I'm wondering. You're talking about, Indiana Jones throwing the sand, across and discovering that bridge there. If part of what that bridge is and the destruction of the woke movement won't be the de-cancellation of people like you, and to some extent, somebody like me. I had a, multi-book deal with HarperCollins. The last book I wrote for them, Around the World in more than 80 days. I mean, get this, you're paid, but you're signed to write the book.
They paid you not to print the book. That's an aberration in nature. It's an aberration. I know. But your time, both of our times, I think the way we end is this. We're coming back, right? And hopefully we will have the support of those that really want it really to come back. And we won't have the Nigel Farages who pretend they want it to come back, and the fake people, and we will have the real deal. And I pray every day that I will have purpose, because I don't have purpose. It's very difficult to invent shit to do when you don't have a job. I mean, I have a job. I go to the inquest. I cover the story of the world. But it's not my passion. It is my passion. It's my passion. Human suffering is a passion. But I'd much rather just be paid 400 times the money and pretend to be upset. You know what I mean? Rather than be paid like none of the money and then actually be upset.
Well, looking forward to the decancellation movement, which I think is coming. I think
It is.
there was a British TV show that Lori and I were just watching. It was called The Hour. Have you seen this?
No, I don't want to touch it. The Hours. Oh, The Hours about Virginia Woolf.
No. It's called The Hour, singular.
Right.
It's set in the 1950s, and it's about a British news show called The Hour. And it has a number of actors that I recognize. I don't know their names, but it's a British TV show. Very stylish, interesting. Anyway, we both watched and we said, the main guy here who plays Q in the Daniel Craig James Bond movie.
Yeah. Ben Whishaw, yeah.
We thought he's so not believable in this role. Laurence should be in this role.
I know. I really would love someone to give me a fucking acting job. I'm really good at acting. Like, I'm actually good at it.
Go and watch a little bit of it.
No, I can't. It makes me sad. I can't watch it. I can't watch something I can't do. It makes me sad. But I think that's also a negative shit thing that I need to deal with too. That it makes me too sad.
Hero, we'll do like an impromptu skit or something at the pyramids, which will feel kind of like, Inspector Willis or, Gosford Park or something like that.
I think we're going to be, at the moment, because I'll talk to you privately offline, but everything's a bit at the moment. So I think it might be Thursday to Tuesday we can do. But I mean, it's just...
Whatever you do will be great.
All right. I love you. And
we want her there. Take care. And thank you to the team. Thank you, Lacey.
Thank you, Lacey. This has been another episode of WTF. And last week's was very kind of, I would call it like a flower garden of ideas. And this week I would call like a garden maintenance episode at WTF. And I like that. I think sometimes you got to do some weeding. And I think we did it this week. I love you. And thank you all for watching. And we're blessed by you. And have a heavenly inauguration. And I'll be on the phone to you when I'm there.
I look forward to getting some pictures, hearing about it. Take care.
Love you, brother.